So I want to know, what do you think was the reason that you think IIM Ahmedabad rejected you in the interview?
If I was selecting myself, if I was in the interview board, I've been at interview boards at top B schools. Now, if I was in the interview board, I would not select that Arun Sharma.
What is that one thing that you notice which is common and it is just a myth?
Without doubt, it's a tough exam. That's the biggest myth I feel. As it's one of the easiest exams you can actually look at. And people ask me why I take the CAT every year. My only answer is that I take it because of the fact that I want to show you how easy it is. Look at it from a perspective कि मेरे को कितने questions solve करने हैं. So CAT is, in that context, if you solve 30 questions in the CAT with a high accuracy, you'll get a 97-98 percentile. And if you can solve 40, you'll get a 99.5 percentile. If you can solve 50, you'll be 100 percentile. So what stops you? If somebody put a gun on your head and told you that you have to train yourself in such a way that you can solve 50 questions in this exam, you'll do it. I have to ensure that if somebody does due justice to the time that he should spend with the books, when he goes into the CAT, he should have an unfair advantage because he's seen all the questions that are there. A time split distance question, I can show that to you. 2004 question, it's been in my book from the second edition. CAT 24-25 used it exactly. The building of the attitude you need to bring to the table is that I am going to do whatever it takes. Right? I'm going to do whatever it takes. Right? So for example, I'll give you an example from my personal life. You see me in this size and shape now. If you go back 4 years, I was a completely different 25 kilos higher from my current shape. Right, completely. My shirt sizes were three sizes bigger than what I wear today, and so I took one fine day I took a decision that I'm going to change myself, and then in my preparation journey I'll tell myself to give it everything I've got, and be ready to study everything as many times as possible. कुछ चीज़ें तुम्हारे 2 बार पढ़ने पे टर्न अराउंड होंगी, कुछ चीज़ें 4 बार में होंगी, कुछ चीज़ें 6 बार में होंगी.
Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Ecosphere by Ekoching, and today's episode is just special for all the CAT aspirants out there. Guess why? Just guess who is the guest. You must have seen him in the thumbnail already, but let's me just give you a brief introduction of a big personality. How? If we talk about him, let's start just one thing. He is the pioneer of the quant section of CAT. Simple as that. That sentence is enough to introduce him. But he has experience in 25 years of authorship, 30 years of teaching of all the CAT aspirants. He is someone who is doing things that is copied by CAT sometimes, if we could say so. He is someone who has predicted and foreseen CAT years before those questions come into CAT. So yeah, he is not less than a magician of CAT in itself. Yes, this is none other than Mr. Arun Sharma. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to our podcast, Ecosphere.
It's a pleasure, yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, if we come to the first question of our podcast and today's episode, the question is that you have created so many books, written so many books, especially into quant as well. So what is the difference that you can see or notice between the way you have explained the concepts of quant initially and the way you explain it in today's time?
The shift is not just in the context of the concepts being discussed. Of course, CAT keeps evolving over a period of time. So your concepts that you have discussed in a book like the one I have written, quants, or even the data interpretation, logical reasoning books, the concepts have to of course keep pace with what's happening inside the CAT, right? So that is the basic this thing. But having said that, the concepts. So I mean, if you talk about quants or mathematics in general, the concepts do not change from year to year. It's broadly the same. But what has to be very closely looked at and updated is essentially the question banks, because when you look at my books for the CAT, whether it's quants, DI or LR, or even the verbal ability, reading comprehension, we try to map what the CAT will do next. And that's been one of the reasons why the books have been successful, because we have, in some way or the other, we have been able to actually predict what the cat will do next, rather than talking about. I mean, there are two ways you write a book, right? One is you tell a student what cat asks, and the second is you try to predict what it's going to ask, and your prediction turns out to be actually accurate for the student. So when he goes into the exam, he or she goes into the exam, and he or she has solved the books completely. The questions and the problems he or she faces in the exam needs to be something which he's already seen. And that has happened because he solved the questions inside the book, whether it's the LOD 1, the LOD 2, or the level of difficulty 3 questions. So that is the bigger responsibility, because as I said, quant's concepts do not. I mean, percentage as a concept, for example, percentage was the same in 1800 also, and percentage is the same as 2025 also. So as a concept, percentage concept, I really don't need to change much, because maybe a different way of explaining it, which I do from time to time, or maybe because my writing style, a lot of students who have read my books, a lot of my readers, millions of readers now, they've always talked about one thing to me, or I always get this feedback, that when they read the book, they assume, or they feel that I'm sitting and explaining it to them, next to them. So that's always been the strength of my writing, whether it's writing the solutions or the questions, or the theory and the concepts or the solved examples inside the book. And of course, one major change that happened in the CAT suite of books in 2025, and this is the second year now, 2026 is the second year with this major change, is the shifting of the books from plain books into courseware. So now my book are no longer only books, but they in line with the current digital trend and what's happening, what technology is available to us out there. McGraw-Hill and we have come together to actually make the books into courseware. So you actually not just get the physical aspect of the book, but or you get the physical book when you purchase the book. You also get access to videos and video solutions of mine. And as you know, many times when you're writing a solution in written form, especially in a maths question, sometimes there's a lot of constraints in what you can explain and what you can't. Right? But when you're actually doing a video solution for the same thing, you're like a teacher, and I'm more a teacher than an author to start with. My journey started as a teacher. My teaching experience is 30 years. My authoring experience is 23 years. So at heart I'm a teacher, right? So give me a pen and a board, and I will teach, and that's what I'm now doing inside the book. So that is a major shift to keep it in trend with this thing. And of course, I've been blessed to have the right strong one of the strongest publishers across the world, McGraw-Hill, whose technology structures and the systems they bring in to the books actually provide us or give us the freedom for authors like me, content creators like me. It gives us the freedom to actually give out our best in that framework. So a small example is, for example, an ebook. The ebook version of my books now. When you buy the physical book, you also get the ebook version of the books. So the ebook version of the books, if you look at the software or the app through which you consume the ebook, it's simply beautiful. It's almost like it's talking to you. You can annotate, you can mark, this thing. It's almost, it's actually a beautiful experience. And then you're not really taking, you're going to office, you're going to college, you have the app in your phone, and you can actually study part of your CAT studies while you are outside. Of course, the most important study sessions for CAT will still always be when you sit down on a table and sit and practice. But then there are a lot of times where you are not in your home or in that atmosphere, but you still need to get ahead with your preparation. So during the day, and that whole environment actually provides me, this environment McGraw-Hill provides me, gives me the option to actually do a lot of things inside the book. And that's the whole vision of what we try to do. So that, and the single problem solving situation that I put myself in is I have to ensure that if somebody does due justice to the time that he should spend with the books, when he goes into the CAT, he should have an unfair advantage because he's seen all the questions that are there. And this has been achieved by us. Questions I've written my first edition, second edition, 2004, came in CAT 2025 with the same numbers. a time split distance question. I can show that to you. 2004 question. It's been in my book from the second edition. CAT 24-25 used it exactly. So that kind of reinvigorates me to do more and to predict where it's going to go next. Right. So that's the whole idea.
So this brings me to the question that how do you predict CAT before CAT itself?
So you need to think about the kind of shifts the exam has been taking. So as you know, I've been tracking the CAT from 1992 onwards, so almost 35 years now. When I first gave CAT for my own MBA admission, I got through into IIM Bangalore. I did come here to IIM Ahmedabad for an interview, but unfortunately for me, it was not meant to be. I got rejected in my interview there, and the whole idea is if you kind of look at what the CAT's been doing. I mean, let's look at let's say quants. So quants went from, if you look at the paper pattern itself. I mean, when I gave CAT in 1992, my first CAT, I had solved 50 questions in 28 minutes in quants. Today you can't do that. Today, if in 40 minutes, if you solve 15-16 questions, you are amongst the toppers. So imagine this: 50 questions, 28 minutes versus 40 minutes, 15 questions. So your time per question has gone from 40 seconds per question to 2.5 minutes, almost 2.5 minutes per question. So obviously the complexity of the question changes. So when I look at what questions I want to actually curate for my question banks inside the books, for the solved examples inside the books, for the theoretical aspects of the books, I basically look at for example, a topic. Two things. What mutations can happen in the question inside this topic? That's one thing I look at very closely. So and I keep doing this. I make sure that I create at least 50 to 100 new questions on every chapter every year. Right, that's one. And the second thing I also look at is cross-functionality of questions. That means you have a time split distance question in which you will suddenly have a mensuration concept coming in. So that is one of the themes that CAT has been doing over the last few years. So if you predict that aspect, or if you have read that aspect, so if you look at 20 chapters in this exam, if you are looking at questions only from a particular chapter, the width and the depth becomes very limited. But the moment you bring cross-functionality, cross-chapter, so there can be so many mixes.
Yeah.
If you're mixing 2 chapters at a time, you have 20 C2 chapters if you use combinations. If you mix 3 chapters, there are 20 C3 combinations, which is hundreds of combinations of questions. So what do I want to mix? Do I want to mix a time split distance, percentage, and a geometry concept together? So if I start doing that, and that's what has given CAT a new lease of life. Otherwise, this exam would become very predictable. And that's what's been happening in this exam. So that's what I try to do with my new questions. And that's something that we are always on the ball about.
So, since so many years, you have taught a lot of CAT aspirants and prepared them for CAT. My question is that what is that one thing that has been persistent among all the CAT aspirants since so many years of experience that you have had? What is that one thing that you've noticed which is common and it is just a myth?
Without doubt, it's a tough exam. That's the biggest myth I feel, as it's one of the easiest exams you can actually look at. And people ask me why I take the CAT every year. My only answer is that I take it because of the fact that I want to show you how easy it is. So essentially, why people think about it being difficult is basically because of the fact that they don't realize, or they start thinking about 99 percentiles and 99.5 percentiles as as very high level of achievement. But if you actually look at it from a different perspective, don't look at it from a perspective of मेरे को 99.5 percentile लाना है. Look at it from a perspective कि मेरे को कितने questions solve करना है. So CAT is, in that context, if you solve 30 questions in the CAT with a high accuracy, you'll get a 97-98 percentile. And if you can solve 40, you'll get a 99.5 percentile. If you can solve 50, you'll be 100 percentile. So what stops you? If somebody put a gun on your head and told you that you have to train yourself in such a way that you can solve 50 questions in this exam, you'll do it. So what is your excuse of not doing it? why are you scared as a student? Why are most students scared of this exam? And that's the biggest challenge I face in my students also. When I train them, the fear of this exam, the myth that it's a very tough exam. I mean, come on, 10 questions across 3 sections extra. I mean, everybody, if I ask a student how much can you score, he'll say I'll score 70 percentile. Most students are comfortable at that level. So 70 to 90 is just a matter of 3 questions extra per section. Why can't you do it?
True.
And how tough can it be to solve 3 questions extra?
Okay, sir. This brings me to a follow-up question that according to you, what is an ideal CAT prep journey like?
So the ideal preparation journey is that you plan multiple rounds of preparation of each of the topics. So what most students do, the mistake they make, is they study once and they go into the mock test. Now if there's a chapter, let's say there's a chapter I'm good at, or there's a question type I'm good at. So I studied for 2 hours, I studied in a class for 2-3 hours, I practiced 10, 20, 30 questions. I'll go into the exam and I'll be able to solve those questions in that time. But if there's a concept or there's a chapter which I'm not good at, and I do the same kind of studies for it, I studied for 3 hours and practiced 20, 30, 50 questions on it. If I go to the exam, I'm not going to be able to solve it because my turnaround of my skill has not happened. उसके लिए turnaround हो भी गया तो मेरा belief नहीं आया. So if I'm somebody who's ready to study it again and again, so what, I mean, ultimately the objective is कि exam में जाके question solve करना है. That's the only objective. So what does it take for you in every question type, in every chapter, to get to that point कि वो वाला उस chapter का उस question type का exam में जाके तुम solve कर लोगे? Is what is your preparation journey. The preparation journey should not be built on कि 4 महीने में सब portion complete करना है. That's what most people do. So I believe that preparation in that sense for a lot of students is wrongly structured. And if somebody is ready to do this, he or she can definitely, no matter what his level. I mean, there is a solution. English nahi aata hai, you can score 100 percentile in language in the CAT. From there you can get there. There's always a path. Okay. Maths nahi aata hai, you can actually compete with 100 percentiles in maths if you're ready to do what it takes. So that's the answer.
Okay, sir. That's a great answer, sir. And now I have a question from people who get awakened and realize their want for CAT, their want for IIMs at a very late stage. Let's just imagine a student or a CAT aspirant who has just 4 to 6 months left in their preparation and they are just starting fresh now. So what would you suggest them to do in the CAT prep journey to crack the CAT and get into an IIM?
So first of all, audit होना चाहिए उसका. He should audit himself कि अभी वो mock test में कितना score कर सकता है. और section wise audit होना चाहिए कि how much can he score in each section, right? With time limit and without time limit. Okay. And this exam has a basic logic. A lot of people ask me how I crack this exam every time. Why do I get a 99.97, 98, 99 percentile every time I give it without preparation? So as I told you, 99.99 percentile or 100 percentile is approximately 45-50 questions solved correctly in the exam. To be able to solve 50 questions under time pressure, you should know 60 questions. If you know 50 questions, you will only solve 35. You will not solve every question you know. So that's something you have to understand. So what is your current knowledge? What is your current ability to transfer it into marks in the exam? So you measure these two. And then you have your target. So once you define these two things section wise, then it becomes easier to define your preparation journey, and you'll avoid a lot of long-term things that people do when they do long-term preparation. So if you have 4 months, you have to be more efficient. You cannot take any wrong turns in your preparation. You cannot do stuff that is not required for you. So for example, suppose I start my preparation today, and I test myself in reading comprehension, and I find that with time limit, I am 60-70% accurate. Without time limit, my accuracy is 95%. If I find that, then I don't need to learn reading comprehension because I know it. So my focus on my preparation will be how to get it under time pressure. So how to manage my mind under time pressure, under exam pressure, so that my accuracy goes to 90. But on the other hand, if I test starting off preparation, I test my reading comprehension, I audit it, and I find that I'm only able to get 60% questions correct under time without time pressure. then I don't know reading comprehension, because 3 out of 5, matlab if you just blindly mark the answers without checking, without reading, to be on a good day you'll get 2 right. So if you're 3 out of 5 right, 60% right, you're almost not having no advantage of your solving. That means you don't know it. So then the preparation journey will be obviously longer for that student. But if I'm the first student and I'm doing the longer preparation journey, it's a waste of my time. So if I'm in a 4-month period, I have to find out exactly what I need to know, what things I need to work on, and I have to give my everything on that, rather than doing everything of the portion. So it has to be very, very measured and scientific in terms of how you want to structure your preparation.
Okay, sir. So now you have answered the people who are the late awakening people for CAT. So my question now is from the people who are from non-maths background. By that I mean people who are not from science or commerce. They are people from humanities and aspiring to go to an IIM. So what would you suggest them to do in their whole quant preparation?
So the biggest problem I've found is that for such people, their school mathematics is missing, right? Which engineers naturally have it. So before they start their CAT prep, they should spend maybe 15 days, 20 days. And when you go as a graduate student into class 7th, 8th maths, you will not have the same problems you had when you were in class 7th, 8th, because the subject will seem easier to you. So go back to that, find the relevant portions within the school syllabus, which you need to do, which is required for the CAT. For example, things about number systems. There are a lot of irrelevant things also. I mean, for example, construction in geometry is not going to be required in CAT. But inside the NCERT books, inside your class 6th, 7th, 8th books, you'll find construction also. So skip all those things. Just do what is going to be required. Equation writing, equation solving, those kind of stuff is going to be very important for you. So and if you're not a natural at that, that's the disadvantage you bring in, because you are a humanities student. So एक simple solution है उसका, one line में अगर मैं बोलूँ, school खराब है तो school को ठीक कर लो. It's in your hands. Suppose मेरे को physics नहीं आता है school का, तो कितना दिन लगेगा एज ए ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट, मेरे को कितना दिन लगेगा स्कूल का, जो 12 साल का बच्चा स्कूल फिजिक्स पढ़ता है, एज ए 20-year-old, इफ आई गो देयर टू रीड अ बुक विच इज रिटन फॉर अ 12-year-old kid, हाउ डिफिकल्ट विल इट बी? It won't be. So why will maths be any different? It will not be.
That's great. So as you have mentioned before in this episode itself, that you have such a wide and such a long experience, and you must have mentored a lot of 99 plus percentilers in your life. So what is that one thing that is common among all of them?
The ability to learn. I think the top 2 things, actually, not one thing. The ability to learn and the consistency of their work. These are 2 things that separates the 99 percentiler from the others. If you look at the 97, or not the 97, but if you look at people who don't do well in this exam, I think the biggest problem is lack of consistency. So people fail or fall off because they are not consistent with the work they do. And the second reason is that there are people who do consistent work, but they are not learning with what they are doing. So the ability to learn. For example, when I was preparing for the CAT, I only took mock tests. I didn't do anything else. Arun Sharma books were not available at that time, and there were no good books available. So I had only, my preparation resource was only mock tests, and I had kept a condition to myself कि एक question, एक logic से मैं 2 बार नहीं हारूंगा. I'm okay losing to it once, but the second time I have to know that logic so that I don't lose to that same logic second time. And that was good enough for me to qualify. So this is missing in a lot of students. So you improve your learning ability. That's going to be an important aspect of your preparation.
So the first thing that you mentioned, I want to talk about that. The first thing that you said about the previous question was attitude. So how to build that attitude in a CAT aspirant? How a CAT aspirant should build it in themselves, because it's not going to be present in the start of the journey. How a person should build it for their CAT prep?
The building of the attitude you need to bring to the table is that I am going to do whatever it takes. Right? I'm going to do whatever it takes. Right? So for example, I'll give you an example from my personal life. You see me in this size and shape now. If you go back 4 years, I was a completely different 25 kilos higher from my current shape. Right, completely. My shirt sizes were three sizes bigger than what I wear today. And so I took one fine day I took a decision that I'm going to change myself. So as a 50-year-old, when you are trying to think about exercising, normally what do? डॉक्टर क्या बोलेगा कि वॉक करना शुरू करो. I decided I'll become an athlete. I started living the life of an athlete. So I started running, I started gymming, and I started tennis. And I told myself, and tennis was something I enjoy, so I told myself that I'll become the best tennis player I can be from this point. Right? And it became a passion. So I still remember the first day I went to court. After 30 minutes, I told my coach, please go away. 1 घंटे का session था. I couldn't last more than 30 minutes. Now I can play 3 hours of singles without this thing. And after 3 hours of singles, if you call me back onto the court, I'll take a shower and go back. Right? So that attitude is what you bring to the table when you do anything in life. It's not just for CAT. It's for anything you do in life. You bring that attitude. Yeah, I'll do, if I'm interested in the challenge, if I'm focused, if I'm keyed into a challenge, I'll do whatever it takes to solve that challenge. Do that and I think you'll be good. You will not have many issues. You'll start realizing that all your failures move to successes.
Okay, sir. As you must have seen a lot of institutes in the whole experiential life that you have had. What is that one thing, I'm asking this for our own feedback, that what is that one thing that you have seen in e-coaching that e-coaching should keep intact in themselves?
See, I think this industry we are in, whether you talk about e-coaching, you talk about my institute and what I do with my students, the whole idea is how much we can help a student. A student comes to us in a very critical state of time for him. And for him or her, the 30, 40 weeks that he has, or even shorter at times, that time is not going to come back. So what I loved about e-coaching, what I liked about your whole team was the fact that you bring the same philosophy that I started training from. When I left my my career after IIM Bangalore, I knew that I was giving up a CEO role in 25 years to spend my time in the classroom. So I told myself that no hanky-panky with this work. I have to do the best I can. Like I told you, that's the attitude I brought in. And this is something that I see is also there in the e-coaching team, because the energy they bring into the table, right? The intensity they bring into the training experience, and most importantly, the care for the student. Because it's a coaching institute, money is always involved. But after the money, it's ultimately a student-teacher relationship. And that's something which I think that you guys have got it correct, and you should always keep it going.
Okay, sir. Just like you mentioned that IIM Ahmedabad rejected you. I wonder why an institute would reject the Arun Sharma. So I want to know, what do you think was the reason that you think IIM Ahmedabad rejected you in the interview?
If I was selecting myself, if I was in the interview board, I've been at interview boards at top B schools. Now, if I was in the interview board, I would not select that Arun Sharma, because I was very mature at that time, didn't have the correct perspectives. My only objective was I had no perspective of why I wanted to do an MBA, and that's one of the reasons I did not get through. And the interviewers called it perfectly okay. And I think the message they gave me without telling me that is that you are sharp enough to get through the CAT, get a bit of maturity, and get the right reason to do an MBA. And as a student, I would tell that 21-year-old Arun Sharma that get that thing in place. What is your reason? And the principal reason for doing an MBA is because India mein graduation mein, as you know, with due respect to some really good colleges, graduation people don't really grow in terms of their ability to think, etc. And MBA is more like a finishing course for Indian students. So in that context, coming to an MBA or getting to an MBA should not be about a job or a salary. It should be about adding value to yourself. If you add value to yourself while you're there, and that is the principal objective why you're doing it, then I don't think there'll be any interview will reject you.
Okay, sir. Now the last question. What is that one thing that you would go back in time and tell the 21-year-old Arun Sharma who is preparing for CAT and going to their dream IIM?
If I go back to myself, the 20-year-old me, 21-year-old me, talking about CAT, I would remind myself not to be intimidated by this exam, and tell myself that it's all a matter of just getting those 40-50 questions correct. And then in my preparation journey, I'll tell myself to give it everything I've got and be ready to study everything as many times as possible. कुछ चीज़ें तुम्हारे 2 बार पढ़ने पे टर्न अराउंड होंगी, कुछ चीज़ें 4 बार में होंगी, कुछ चीज़ें 6 बार में होंगे. तो आई हैव नॉट सीन अ स्टूडेंट इन एप्टीट्यूड जो तैयार है 6 बार पढ़ने के लिए और उसका एप्टीट्यूड ठीक नहीं हो गया. So it's while there is a inborn element of aptitude or an inherent element of aptitude, so to say, but it can be developed. If you're ready to study it 6 times, why not? Everything turns around.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for coming to Ecosphere, sir. And I'm glad that you came here and shared the insights to all the viewers out there. And so, yeah, this is a message to all the viewers out there. If you like this podcast, if you like the whole insights that Mr. Arun Sharma, the Arun Sharma, gave us into his journey, into his experiences, into things that he have learned, and he's going to teach us in future as well. And if you want to know more things, we have mentioned all the links to reach out to him, or his Instagram or his YouTube channel and everything down in the description. And if you want to see such more episodes, such more things from us, e-coaching at Ecosphere, then just make sure that you like, share and subscribe to this channel, and share this video, like this video, and follow our Instagram channel as well, where you can find the short parts of this video if you're not interested in watching this whole video. I hope you are, because this is what is going to be the holy grail of your CAT prep journey. So yeah, one last thing, e-coaching hai to ho jayega. Thank you.